All right, so 9.3 is on percents. All right, so percent, if you break it down, is percent, and cent is the prefix for 100, so that's per 100. So percent means for every 100. So your percent sign, 1% is represented by 1 over 100, or 0.01. It's the value of percent. All right, so percent to decimal. First thing we do is locate the decimal. You move it 2 places to the left and remove the percent sign. All right, so if I have 25%, the decimal, if you don't see it, is understood that it would be to the right of the rightmost digit. So you take it, 2 places to your left, and that's 0.25. And of course, last step was you don't use your percent sign, you remove it. 1.39, take the decimal, 2 places to the left. So there was only 1 digit that was to the left of your decimal, so you need a 0 as a placeholder. So that's 0.0139. Same thing happens here, 0.6%. Move the decimal 2 places to your left. Add a 0 as a placeholder. That's 0.006. Any questions on those? All right, so decimal to percent, we're going to locate our decimal. This time we're going to move the decimal 2 places to the right. Now, if you go back, last time we moved it 2 places to the left. This time we're moving it 2 places to the right. And we're going to place our percent sign. No, I won't do that one. All right, so 0.38. See our decimal, move it 2 to the right, and that is 38%. 2.7, decimal 2 to the right, add a 0 for a placeholder, 270%. And 5, once again, if you don't see a decimal, they assume you know it's to the right of your rightmost digit. So we'll move this 2 to the right. Need 2 zeros as placeholders. That's 500%. All right, any questions on either one of those processes? All right, so if we want to write a percent as a fraction, you're going to replace the percent sign with 1 over 100. Remember we mentioned that percent means 1 over 100. And we're going to multiply and then simplify if necessary. All right. So at 25%, let's say we have 25%, replace the percent with 1 over 100. At 25, if you want to write that as a fraction, you recognize that as being 25 over 1. So now you can either multiply across, or if you wanted to reduce, you could. It's up to you. So we can recognize that in that 100 is 4 times 25. Your 25s cancel. And that leaves you with 1 in the numerator and then 4 in your denominator. All right. Questions on that one before we do another one? Let's see. So 120%. Replace that percent with 1 over 100. Like I said before, you can either multiply or cancel first if you can. So last time we canceled first, just showing you the other way. If you multiply, use multiply across. And we 120 over 100. I will go ahead and do the reduction or the reducing. The tens with zeros in the back, which represent tens, will cancel, leaving you with 12 over 10. It's 2 times 6, 2 times 5. 2's cancel, leaving you with 6 over 5. All right. Any questions before we do one more like that? All right. Sounds good. So next one, first convert to an improper fraction. So before I go and put in 1 over 100 for that percent, I would do 3 times 3 plus 1. So, you multiply your whole number times your denominator plus your numerator. So 3 times 3 is 99, plus 1 would be 100 over 3. Now we're still in percent, so don't forget we have not lost our percent sign. So even though it's a solid fraction for us, we're still in the percent. So now 100 over 3. Substitute 1 over 100 for the percent sign. Since I have a 100 here and a 100 here, I can go ahead and cancel those out. And that leaves me with 1 over 3. All right, so fraction to percent. So we'll convert the fraction to a decimal by dividing, and then convert that decimal that you now have to a percent, which is what we've already talked about. So if I have 3/4, that's the same thing as 3 divided by 4. You throw that in the calculator, and that'll give you 0.75. I'll move your decimal 2 to the right, and that is 75%. Five over 8. Once again, to figure out the decimal value, you do 5 divided by 8. That'll be 0.625. Move that decimal 2 places to the right. 62.5%. All right, questions on that one? I think we got one more type of thing in this section. It would be good. Oh, nope. That percent increase. All right, so solving percent problems. You can use either one of these relationships. If you want to use a proportion, that's percent over 100 equal to amount over base. Or you can set it up as an equation and do percent times base, and that's equal to your amount. All right, so let's try this out. Oh, also here, before you do the calculation, make sure you turn it to a decimal. Notice the 100 is not in there, so. Let me write this as well. Sometimes you can refer to the base as the whole. total and the amount part. All right, so it says the average size of a new single family house in 2014 was 2690 or 2,690 square feet. This is 158% of the average size of a new house in 1980. What was the average size of a new house in 1980? It says round to the nearest whole number. So going back to our setups, where you use the proportional equation, it doesn't matter which one you use. Either way, you'll get the same answer as long as you do it correctly. So let's go back and see which piece goes with which. The easiest piece to pick out is our percent. We know our percent is 158. So it says that single family house in 2014 is 2690. So now we need to figure out whether that 2690 is the whole, excuse me, the base or the amount. So it says the 2690 is 158% of the average size of a new house. So what was the average size of the new house? So when you, whichever one's connected to the percent, that's normally your amount. And it's 158% of an amount that we do not know. And whenever you say, let me see, how can I say it? Going back here, your amount is percent of the base. So this is 158% of the average size of a new house. And then it says, what is the average new house in 1980? So then it says, what is the average size of a new house in 1980? So that is your base. That's going to be our X. Your amount is the percent of the base. And that of is key in mathematics because it represents multiplication. So if I want to set this up using the proportion, that's going to be 158 over 100 equal to the amount over the base, 2690 over X. If I want to set it up as an equation, then that will be your percent, which is, oh, and don't forget, if I want to convert this to a decimal, it's 1.58. You move your decimal 2 places to the left. So it's 1.58 times X, which is our base, equal to 2690. All right. So either way, whichever one you decide to use, you'll still get the same answer. I'll do both of them just to show you. Next example, we'll only do one. So if we have our proportion, we'll cross multiply. 158x, 100 times 2690, 26, add 3 zeros in the back. I'll divide by 158. X is equal to, I want the actual number. And then it's round to the nearest whole number, so that's 1703. All right. The equation is 1.58x equal to 2690. So here we'll just divide by the 1.58. 1.58 cancels, leaving me with X. And 2690 divided by 1.58 once again is a 1702.53. 1703. So it doesn't matter which method you use, you'll still get your 1703. Just have to make sure you do it properly. Make sure you assign which one piece goes to which. All right, questions before we do another one? All right, according to the Bureau, in a recent year, the average American family had an income of $66,877 and spent $6,759 on food. What percent of the family income was spent on food? So we know that the percent is our X, or our unknown in this case. That's what percent. So now we have these two pieces or two numbers. The total income that they had was 66,877. So that's your base. Then out of that base, the amount spent on food was 6,759. So once again, it's up to you which one you want to use, whether you use the percent, not the percent, the proportion, or the equation. It does not matter. As long as you have the percent, base, and amount assignment correct, you'll still get the same answer. So I guess we'll do one more like with the proportion. That's x over 100. And that's going to be 6,759 or 6,6,877. So once again, that's your percent over 100 equal to your amount over your base. And here, since my x is right here, I would just multiply both sides by 100. So these 100s will cancel, leaving your x on the left. And it said round to the nearest percent. So about 10% was spent on food. Oh, let me show you something. Let me do this one in the equation as well, so I can show you the difference. So we said this is going to be the percent. If we were to do the equation, percent times the base equal to the amount. So to solve this, I would divide both sides by 66,877. So they cancel on the left, leaving me with just x. Then on the right, all right, so notice the difference in the answers. If they ask you for your answer in percent, then you will have to convert it back to a decimal if you use the equation form. So just throwing that out there. They give you, if you were to solve for percent in the equation form, don't forget that when you're doing that calculation, they expect it to be in decimal. So that percent will be in decimal when you finish it out. But here in your proportion, that wasn't written as a decimal. That's just written as is, and it's over 100. So just keep that in mind as you going throughout your options. All right, questions on either one before we look at the last thing in this section. We got 5 minutes. All right. All right, so your percent increase is going to be amount of increase divided by the original amount times 100%. Percent decrease would be the amount of decrease over the original amount times 100%. All right, got enough time to slide one in there, and then we'll be good to go. And if you need to see another one, next class, always feel free to ask. All right, find a percent increase in the federal debt from 2005 to 2010. So they gave us a chart, so you guys don't have access to the chart unless you open up the book. So I'll just write the number 2005. Yeah, 7.91 billion. In 2010, they had 13.53 billion. So both those came from the chart. So first thing you would do is find the amount of increase. You will subtract the two values, 13.53, 7.91. That'd be 5.62. All right. So now you take that 5.62, place it over the original amount. The original amount was 7.91 because remember it increased from 7.91 to 13.53, and then we will multiply that times 100%. Where did I put my calculator? Here we go. So that's 0.7104 times 100, 71.04%. And that's it. And always make sure you pay attention to Weber sign. They'll let you know how many decimal places they want. All right. questions on that before we close out? And like I said, you do the amount of decrease the same way. You take your two values, it's going to decrease from one value to the next. Take those two values, subtract them from each other, and then multiply times 100%. All right. Any questions or concerns before we close out for the morning? All right. So if everyone is good, I'm good. That's it for today. It's 8:50. I will see you on next class. Have a good one.